Another thing that I learned from my dad's life is that mother wounds are as deep as daddy issue wounds.
I think mother wounds
they are worse.
Especially on men.
Oh my gosh.
One thing which my dad actually tells me or has told me before is trust but verify. I think you may have heard this, right? The idea of like you have to work so much for someone to trust you is not really normal, because by the time I'm having a conversation with you, even being around you requires trust.
Hi guys, Murugi Munyi here.
It's Lydia KM.
And we're back again with another episode of
The Messy In Between.
It's definitely TMI.
You know, I almost got my name wrong. I almost got my name wrong.
What's happening? Is it that time of the month?
Everything is everywhere. That's the theme of life right now.
And
everything
we are just
everywhere.
surviving. The fact that we are sitting here on this couch today,
please,
is itself
pick
a miracle.
Somebody else.
Pick somebody else, guys. Anyway, welcome to today's episode, guys. We are so excited that you clicked on this video and that you are here. Chances are this is not the first video you're watching, and it's definitely not going to be the last. So before you continue watching, please just pause and tap the subscribe button. By the time you're watching this, I think we've already hit 80K. We subscribers for sure. Thank you guys so much for being here. The people who have been here from the beginning. If you are in the first 1,000 of subscribers, put up your hand. Put up your hand. We want to see you in the comments. Put up your hand. But if you're not yet part of the In-Betweener gang, please join the family and tap that subscriber button so that you always know every time we upload an episode. Also follow us on our social media, TMI Podcast KE, everywhere, Lydia KM, Murugi Munyi.
Are you subscribed yet?
To what?
To TMI.
To what?
To TMI.
To TMI?
Guys.
I'm a physical subscriber. It's because, listen, it's because when I go on my Instagram on my phone, it's always on TMI.
No, do it right now. Are you serious?
Then I'm going to lose my nini.
Your what?
Lydia.
Are you kidding me? Guys, she's constantly screaming at you guys, and yet herself she is not subscribed.
I think I did. Let's go. There, I'm on Murugi Munyi. Let me search TMI.
Oh my God, guys.
Let me show you that I'm subscribed.
Well done. Good night. Well done. Now when she shouts, she's standing on
from
two
point
legs,
of authority.
On strength.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for constantly listening to us. And this is the first episode where we are shooting real time after winning our awards. Because obviously we pre-record. So we actually pre-recorded a message of thank you.
Which at this point you've already watched.
You've already watched from the last episode.
As we were recording it, I just remember thinking, it'll feel bad if we have to cut this part out of the video.
It will feel so bad. And also, so if this is the first episode you're ever watching,
yes, we
did win Podcast Influencers of the Year at the Pulse Influencer Awards. We also won YouTube Influencers of the Year. Yeah. And what we didn't say in the last episode is that Murugi Munyi also took home Instagram Influencer of the Year. Everyone please clap in the room. It's just me.
Oh, guys, clap for me. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Instagram now belongs to, we are calling it Murugi's Instagram, if you didn't know.
But I am giving you guys permission to post on it if you'd like.
I'm renting. Yeah. I'm a tenant myself and I'm okay with that. It's fine. So you also can rent.
Yeah, you know.
Murugi's
but
Instagram.
Without your support, guys, we wouldn't be where we are today. We thank you for engaging. Any comment you've ever left, any like, anytime you've even clicked on the video and even watched for 3 minutes.
And hated it.
And it's fine. Even if you've sent it to your cousins, to your man, your babe, whatever. We are so grateful, guys.
So
to
grateful.
be told that of all the Kenyans on YouTube, you're the one who's doing the best right now.
Look at us. And guys, it's 1 year and 3 months.
A year.
So that is so uplifting and it's so validating. Absolutely. And also, not just, of course, it was about voting, but they did say the other things that they considered. But the voting, you guys went ham. I think you guys were reposting us every single day. You were voting every single day. So we got so many votes. Yeah. And we are absolutely so grateful. I always say this. People continue doing something that they're rewarded for. So being open and being vulnerable and sometimes coming on here and sharing some things that are just like, oh my God, I can't believe I've shared that.
Talked about that.
But for you guys to keep watching, to keep subscribing, to keep following, to keep sharing, and to keep feeling like this is something that's you guys, is because we are saying we did it. We did won. It. We all of us. We won. Yeah. And we love the community that we've built. So God bless you guys. Continue to be the in-betweeners you are, and we're going to do our very best to continue giving you the best content we possibly
guys
can.
Thank you. We love you guys
so much. Today we are if you listened or watched a couple of episodes ago, we did things that my mother told me. My mother told me ... And a lot of you guys suggested we should do the one that is my father taught me to ... But what we've decided is things I've learned from my father.
Yeah.
Right? Because you guys, we have expressed that we have challenging relationships with our fathers.
Yeah.
So it's like that direct. My father told me we didn't have that many points.
Yeah, I think I had 2 max.
I think I had 2. But we decided we were going to do things I've learned from my father, which is still the same thing, either from observing him, through his life, through the way our dynamics are, through his life personally. So that is what we're going to be doing the episode about. As we said, even from the my mother told me episode, these things can bring up a lot of issues and a lot of feelings. They can be triggering. So please be observant of your own personal boundaries. If you feel like this is too much, you can stop here. If you feel like you want to take a pause, please do take a pause. But in the comments, we want to observe everyone's boundaries. So don't go over there commenting on what someone should do about their dad or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
please don't. Yeah. Just leave it like that. And we're going to be sharing down below. So as we are talking, tell us what have you learned from your father?
Yeah, exactly.
All
Not
right.
something necessarily that he has taught you, but something you have learned
from him, observing him, being around him, his life.
Yeah. And by the way, some of these things, they may trigger you, but trust me, I feel like even for us, we get triggered sometimes by the things that we talk about. And it's part of the sacrifice of having TMI, because I'm just like, if there's something that people really want to hear about, and of course, we always observe our own personal boundaries as far as what we share. But by the time we are sharing, anything that we talk about, your own family, your own relationship, it's obviously, it requires you to be some level of vulnerable, So, so let's just even share with us a little something. So even us, we can feel like we're all in this together,
When we go through the comments and someone's just like, oh yeah, this happened to me. And
I know. Like, so it's not just
me. It's not just us.
Yeah, it's not just us.
God didn't just choose us.
Exactly.
So it really is validating, and it feels like a sisterhood when you guys shares yours as well.
Absolutely.
You go first, Queen of Instagram.
Okay, let me go first. Yeah. So this first one is something my dad used to actually tell us all the time. And I never understood it in the context in which he meant it, but now I think I do. So he always used to come to our rooms and tell us, conquer your room before you can conquer the world. Ooh. And he used to say that all the time. Like, he would always come and make sure, he's like, before you leave your room, you have to have made your bed, the room needs to be neat, you've opened the curtains, you can't just leave at, I'm going to the sitting room to chill first, then I'll go back to my room. He always used to be like, how can you even go out and conquer the world and be a person who is giving value if your own room is messy? And back then it just used to sound like, can't you just let us rest, man? We just want to go to the sitting room, have some breakfast and have some energy to clean the room. But now the context in which I understand it, I don't know if this is the way he meant it, but the context in which I understand it now is that your how you treat your own personal affairs is reflective of what you can offer the world. Like, I have hardly ever met a man who is worth marrying or dating and their house is a bloody mess. It's just representative of how you feel about yourself.
Now you've tagged someone.
Ooh, is that your man? Is that your man? Just say. But yeah, it's usually very representative of what you as Lydia feel about yourself. If you're always wearing torn and dirty clothes, it's like, you just feel like that's the standard at which, you're operating in the world. Like, how much value can you offer other people if you're not even offering that value to yourself, So yeah.
I love that, and I 100% agree with that. The first thing I do, always the first thing is to make my bed.
Yeah.
It just has to be done. Honestly, like, I can't imagine like midday I'm and just walking in and it just gives me so much anxiety. I actually agree with that. There's a book I think called Make Your Bed. And it's about that principle. It's like those tiny little things of, if you do this, the way you do this is the way you're going to do everything. I think it's my sister who says that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So when you master doing those tiny things that are about you, because no one is in your room but you, then what you're going to do in the world is going to be on that level. Yeah. I think that's a really good one.
I think so.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dad.
One thing which my dad actually tells me or has told me before is trust but verify. I think you may have heard this, right? He's just like, trust is something which is given. You can give someone trust. He always says that the idea of like you have to work so much for someone to trust you is not really normal, because by the time I'm having a conversation with you, even being around you requires trust. So sometimes there's some elements of trust which will just be given just from God bless me, this person is not a murderer, right? But he says, but once you do trust, you need to verify. So understanding someone's character, seeing how consistent they are in the things that they say they are about, being more observant about those things, so that by the time you're confirming and truly saying that somebody is someone who you do trust, you've 100% verified. And I thought, I think that's something which sticks in my head now a lot more, like trust but verify. And that's something which I feel like I probably struggle with, and I've realized that a lot of the times I give trust more than allowing it to be more earned, and that's just like in pretty much anything. A lot of times it's worked out. Which is not a
bad thing.
Yeah, a lot of times it's worked out. It's worked out for me more than not. Yeah. But there's some times when it's just like you could have verified a little bit more on this side.
Zach is the same way. Zach is always saying about how for him trust, it's a decision. It's like I've just decided now I can trust you, and I can decide I don't trust you, and therefore I won't give you, that leeway or whatever. For me, I've always been like, I would say somewhere in between. But even the whole concept of verifying, there can be like verifying of like you intentionally go out of your way to find out
is this
exactly, versus if something happens to show me that I can't trust them, the information will just come to me and I'll be like, okay, so clearly I can't trust this person. That's where we are.
Yeah, that's
because I'm not going to go look for information, but if the information comes,
also being awake to the information, like okay, like the signs that you're seeing, like those are the verifications, which I think I do mostly. But
sometimes like when you decide to trust someone, your mind is not like so looking for because you're already like, I trust them. So even when something happens which is suspicious, you're like, no, but I trust them. I know that they wouldn't do anything. Giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I feel like our level of trust as well. It's like, it's just God.
It's just God. Honestly,
the way I've trusted her.
I'm more likely to trust new people in my life than I am to not trust them, unless they give me a reason not to trust them.
I agree. But the more I'm like now, especially with business, especially like anyone who I want to work around with, I'm trying to be more trust but verify. Trust but verify. Yeah.
All right. Another thing that my dad taught me is so this one, I don't know if it's something that he taught me, but it's something he said to me, and I wanted to put it up for discussion. So when I was going to get married, my dad, I remember telling me, I think it was on my Rura show, he's like, Joanne, you have to remember the only prerequisite for marriage is love. You just need to love. Do you love it? Do you love each other deeply? And I remember, I think it was our YouTube video we were shooting together, and people were asking him like, does he feel uncomfortable that Zach is a Kikuyu and, I'm Luya or whatever? People still have these qualms about
Really?
Yeah. And he was like, what does tribe have to do with it? The only prerequisite for marriage is love. So I remember him saying that so many times to me. And I just remember thinking, is it?
No. No, sweet dad.
No, sweet dad. But I understand him saying that, okay, the surface level, the surface level things of like, okay, what tribe is he? How much money does he have? Those things don't matter. But of course, we've discussed many times on this podcast that there's also things like values. What are your plans? Like, what's your approach to life? Like, what God do you serve or whatever?
I think I feel like love is like, if you love that person, it's like, yes, that's what kind of stems a lot of your decision making, right? That's why we're here. Like, what are we even discussing if I don't love you, right? And without that,
why are we here?
It's almost zero. So without love, it's zero. It's zero. But it's not the only thing that makes it 100%. So
would you say it's more than 50%? Would you say it's the biggest?
I feel like it's the biggest. And I'm saying the biggest, not biggest to me, but the biggest because many other relationships are working fine without people having the same religion, without people being of the same tribe. So those things clearly are not the biggest things, but all of them, what they have in common is love. And the ones that don't have love usually take a massive nosedive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess like the love kind of makes you more likely to be able to compromise or to have a conversation about things that you might not be in agreement from. So I would also say love is a big part. I would say it's a big part, but it definitely is not the only. It's definitely
definitely not the only.
Thank God my dad wasn't like a marriage counselor, because
we thank God. Something that I've recently learned, and I keep talking about it on my page, is that there's a difference between how somebody feels for you and their capacity to meet the needs that you require, or their capacity to love right? Think case in point, our parents, they do love us, but their capacity to love right or their capacity to meet our needs is the difference between people who had great parents and people who didn't. No one really says that my dad didn't love me or my mom didn't love me. You know that they do, but it's just like their character doesn't allow them to love right. So yeah, love, great.
Love, yes.
All these other things.
Yeah. Actually, that point you've said is also one of the other points that I was going to say is that a lot of us, our parents, and even me, I know that my dad loved me, but that didn't stop him from all the hurt and the pain that they caused us. And sometimes, when you talk about, Lydia has said this on the podcast before about how once you start looking at your parents as like Emily and William, those are my parents, you start to realize how flawed they are, as we all are. How they also struggle with their own issues in terms of how they were raised, in terms of how much love they were shown when they were kids, in terms of the society that shaped them to be who they are. But definitely watching my dad's life has shown me that. It's like I believe you. I believe you love me. I believe that you love me, but still, that hasn't stopped the pain.
And someone loving you and causing you pain are two competing truths that exist everywhere in the world. And we're just like, no, but if someone loves you, they can da-da-da-da. But you've hurt people you love. Even though you knew probably that thing is going to hurt them, but maybe your reasoning or your state of mind at that time, you weren't really thinking that way. But that doesn't mean that you didn't love that person. Our character is always what shows up when we are relating with other people more than how we feel. Yeah. And definitely that is one which I've seen, because I don't think I've ever denied that I've never felt like my dad doesn't love me, but I can always see it's like there's him, and then in between us is all the stuff.
So much
that
stuff.
He's unable to heal him personally, and then that has toppled on to our stuff,
Yeah, and I feel like the reason why it feels hard to marry the idea that someone loves you and they can hurt you is because I feel like it destroys our idealistic view of what love is or what love should be. Because it's like, okay, so if you say you love me and I'm less like, okay, now I'm safe in this space. Am I though? Because you could still hurt me.
Give this woman another mic.
Please.
One is not enough.
It's just not.
One is not enough. It's true.
But we have to realize that, people can love you and still, because they also love themselves. How many times do we say, and they're people, they're human beings.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that is crushed. But funny enough, despite that idealistic view being smashed into pieces, if you do accept these competing truths, it also brings you in a reality where you're able to be in the nuances of who humans are. And that idealistic thing about love is beautiful, but the realness, when you're able to see a person and be like, this person has a capacity to hurt me, this person is probably going to hurt me, or this person has hurt me, but I know that they love me and I'm still choosing to love them, not to be taking nonsense everywhere. Please, but I mean, it's like, things that do happen anyway. Being able to laugh from that place of someone can love me and hurt me, and I'm prepared for that. That feels adult and real and very, I don't know, empowering to me. Yeah. I like that, as opposed to, if you love me, you never do anything wrong.
Come on, let's relax.
Because that puts someone at a pedestal, but this other one is like, you're human.
Exactly. And also, I guess the idea that I know that you love me and you can hurt me, but you're not hurting me.
Yeah,
it makes that love feel so good.
I don't know what is going on.
I'm Lydia.
What is happening with you today? I love this.
I know, yeah. So when somebody is not hurting you, it's like, I know you could, but you're not.
I want to kiss her in the mouth.
I know.
I want to kiss her in the mouth.
This is snog.
Amazing. I want to snog.
Yeah, I know you want to snog me.
That is such a beautiful point. And I guess that's what allows you to continuously be choosing this person, because you had the power. I've given you all the power, but you have not.
But you have.
I want a moment of silence for this woman.
I know.
Please. Wow.
For me.
I really love that one. Also, it's yours.
It's your. Okay, well, I kind of took that one.
Right,
so
okay. So another one is, another thing that my father taught me is forgiving yourself is more important than everybody else forgiving you. And this is something my dad said to us. So we were just talking, like, at one point in like the last few years, and he shared how he realized that he felt like, he needed forgiveness from, other people because of the pain that he's caused. But he realized the thing that was most derailing him is his inability to forgive himself. And one day you wake up and the consequences of your actions have literally ruined your entire life. Literally everything that you knew and you loved is no longer with you because of your actions. Maybe somebody else can forgive you, but waking up to your life every day, looking at it and knowing it was your actions that brought you there is a mountain to get past. And that actually is a forgiveness that you need to give yourself first before anybody else forgives you. Because even if they forgive you, forgiveness hasn't taken place until you forgive yourself. And maybe we can think about this from a place of, you're the one who ruined your relationship. You're the reason why you got fired. You're the reason why maybe you and your parents don't speak. You're it could be anything. But once you sit down and you say, I have caused myself and the people who I love the most pain, but I'm working on forgiving myself. That journey is the longer one.
That one, actually, I feel like that's sometimes almost impossible for people because especially when you're in a place where no matter how much work you do, you can never go back. Like he can never regain his family. He can never get his wife back. He can never, maybe he can try and work on his relationship with you, but it just feels
and
so
the years
far.
are gone.
Yeah.
The years are gone.
It kind of feels like when you go on these TLC episodes of like my 600-pound life, it's kind of like, it's like, what's the point? Now if I eat this one more burger, now I'm already enormous. What am I going to,
I agree. And what tends to happen is that you stay in that sin.
Exactly.
Because like, first of all, forgiving yourself, what does that mean? Do I start over? Because I can never have that back. So what's the point?
Yeah. And now you're older. So now you're 60. So what are you going to be doing?
It's rough.
Is really difficult.
It is difficult. I saw Tony Tone say that she's no longer, Tony Tone is this amazing, I guess she's kind of a relationship kind of coach or content creator. And
I love her tweets.
I love her tweets as well. She said that she's no longer prescribing to the idea that, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's for me, it will stay, because people fumble on their blessings all the time. Because God gives us free will, that means that he can give you a blessing and you fumble it. No, it wasn't that it wasn't meant to be. You fumbled it. You fumbled it. And people fumble on their blessings all the time. And that is a hard thing to come from.
Yeah. But Christians will like to say like, oh yeah, I guess it just wasn't meant
God's
to be.
Will.
It was God's
will. God gave us free will. You fumbled. What I've found is that majority of the times, especially in my relationships, I feel like I've always gone out of it from a place of, it wasn't me who fumbled it, right? So I think I never realized how difficult it is for someone else to get past fumbling it.
Yeah.
I don't really think
about it.
Without
knowing that they can never have you back.
And I never thought about that. And that's a difficult place to be.
Yeah. The times in relationships when I have fumbled, I've always been in a position of being able to make up for the mistake that I made. And that definitely made things easier.
Yeah.
If it was like, as opposed to that's it, now it's the one that got away. And then now you just always know. Woo!
Yeah.
That's tough.
So I feel like we need to have grace for people who are struggling to forgive themselves as well, because it can't be easy.
Absolutely. Another thing that my dad taught me is that gender roles in the home are an absolute scam. Growing up, my mom is more of like a carefree person. Like when it comes to the home, like she can sit in a messy space, not like dirty, but like messy, like things are everywhere. It didn't bother her so much. My dad is a stickler for like arranging things, cleaning and stuff like that. So growing up, he's the one who always used to tell us about like, you would find him, you wake up, you find him washing dishes, like on a holiday when the nanny is not there, he's washing dishes. He always used to be so into home things, like interior decor and like how the house looks, how we have to change the carpet, we have to change the curtains. My mom was just like, I mean, it's just, it's just fine. It's just, And I loved watching how excited he would be about like home things, because in my mind, I was just like, so men also can. And they can be excited about things, and they too have hands, and they too can wash dishes. Yeah. And that was just amazing to me, because I feel like it broadened, sometimes the man who you observe, because they're the only man in your life when you're growing up, you're just like, okay, so men are that way. So I'm glad that I had that broadened perspective of like what a man can be and what a man can do. Zach also kind of has that, like he can cook, he can clean kind of thing, I guess because he was raised by a single mom and he lived on his own for a long time before he met me. And I love that. I love the fact that it's not like he's just at your, he can't, if you're not there at home, he won't eat for 3 days. Like, it's not that dumb, whatever. And I loved watching my dad wash dishes. Some of our greatest memories are like you're washing dishes with him and he's like, okay, you stand there and rinse, and he's doing the washing, you're rinsing. That was special time.
Oh, that's so nice. I think cooking and cleaning are basic survival skills. And if you can't do it, what is that? either you are rich enough to have that you don't, but even that, it's like, why don't you know how to do it? That's just weird to me. As in, like, if you, like, and what I realize is that men who don't know how to cook and clean or are unable to, for whatever reason, tend to be in relationships that they don't really want to be, because when you leave now, well, I have to cook for myself. No, it's good that yes, you have a girlfriend who does that for you, and it's an amazing thing. But really, you need to know how to do it. As in, when I leave the house for 3 days,
you're not eating, and the house is filthy.
It's filthy.
Yeah.
No, guys,
that's one of the things which I'm always like, I look at my son and I'm like, before he leaves this house, he will know how to take care of everything. In fact, he has no business being in a relationship or getting married if he cannot take care of himself. How will you even take care of kids if you can't take care of yourself? Honestly,
I think it's such a like an archaic way of seeing things. Absolutely. That it's only a one who can do that. You won't always have a woman.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons why men struggle the most after the family splits up. It's like, you don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't even, when's the last time you were in the kitchen?
When?
No, please don't be that.
Where's the cayenne pepper? Do you know what cayenne pepper is?
Yeah,
that's the question.
No idea. No idea. This one, this is something which my dad says to me all the time. I can be anything I want to be. When I came back to Kenya, one of the things, then maybe sometimes me and my dad were talking and it was like quite all right. So I would tell him about my plans that I have. And of course, I was new to everything. I was new to being in commercial ads. I didn't know where ad agencies were. I didn't know anything about being on TV or anything like that, even podcasting, content creation. And every step of the way, when I've just kind of shared, okay, so this is what I'm thinking about doing. And this like at inception, like just an idea. His automatic reaction, no matter what, after I've explained, I want to do this, I want to do it like this, his first thing is that if you're seeing it in your mind, then you can do it. Always. And that was probably one of the reasons why I was able to create the life that I've created since I came back, because he just had a belief in me that whatever it is I'm putting my mind to, whatever I'm starting, it doesn't matter if I'm at zero, I can absolutely do it. So there's a confidence in my dreams that does come from him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He doesn't even ask questions.
Even if your relationship with your dad is bad, there are some things about these guys that really are just so nice. My dad also, like, from almost similar to that, but I always felt like with him, I learned that the things you want are closer to you than you think they are. Like, I remember when we were growing up, like, we would sometimes go to like visit houses that we obviously cannot afford, but like just the visiting them and thinking about it and planning and strategizing, how can we get here? What would we need to do? Like, just seeing how something can seem like it's really far over there, but you can always take one step closer to it, and you can always take another step. And I think that way in life right now. There's nothing that I think in my life like, oh, I really want this, but no, it can't. There's nothing. Yeah. Literally, there's nothing that is impossible for me.
And that belief in ourselves is not normal.
Really?
No, it's not. Actually, so there were a group of people who I was doing like we were going to auditions for like doing ads on TV or whatever together, and some of them obviously had done them a little bit longer than me, but I think I'm the only one who stayed the course in what I wanted to do, and I don't know where it comes from. I just believe like, I've got it in my mind, and this is what I want to do. As in, then I just say I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Like, why would I not do it? Let me not do it because I don't want to do it. But just I've given up because I don't believe it's possible for me.
No.
That is not even in my mind. It's not in my DNA at all. Yeah. And I know, your parents' voice is pretty loud in your mind. Yeah. So one of the things which I always think about when I'm thinking about planning on doing something, I can hear my mom here, obviously super loud.
She's shouting
about
is loud.
Cheering me on. And then I can also hear my dad. And when you feel like if both your parents believe that you can do anything, who's anyone else?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's a strong belief that he had in me. And he's very unconventional. So if it's like, I even asked him one day, like, so what if I came home and I wanted to be with a woman? He's like, He just doesn't believe that there's anything that you cannot do. Yeah. I think even when we were small, he used to buy us makeup, and that was just like, oh my God, like what?
Are you serious?
Yeah, but he would do it. So he made me believe that the world is like, it's for you to color the way that you want.
Whatever he's an artist. Her dad is an artist.
So I think so he's super unconventional and kind of out of this world, basically. And that's something that I know I take on with me.
Do you think I'll ever meet your dad?
I mean, I'm sure at some point
Have I met your mom?
You've never met my mom, have you?
I don't think so.
No, but every time she's here, I don't think you're able to meet her.
Yeah. Life could be so crazy, but I want to meet her.
Yeah. Well, she's coming.
Oh, yeah.
She's coming in November and December. She's going to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad we have that self-belief. I also feel like to be a high achieving person, you need to have a supernatural level of belief in yourself.
Yep.
Like, I never sit and like, if I think about something and I'm like, if someone else has gotten there, like Oprah has gotten to where she's gotten to, what is it that I don't have?
She doesn't have
she's just a person. Exactly. She's just a person who talks, and we are people who talk. So
why is it not possible?
Why is it not possible?
No, even me, I would need an explanation saying why can't I have that?
Exactly.
Why can't I?
Or I will die trying to get there.
Amen.
For sure. Another thing that my dad taught me is that you can be amazing at more than one thing. You can be the best at more than one thing. So for those of you who don't know, my dad was a professional footballer when he was younger, when he was in university. He played for Gor Mahia. He was a striker and he was like the best footballer in his time. Once he finished his football career, or he now finished med school, he transitioned into medicine and made a huge, amazing career being a doctor, which he still is right now. And every single time we meet people from like his time who talk about what a phenomenal footballer he was, and then I meet people who he has been their doctor, and they talk about what a phenomenal doctor he is. It just makes me realize that you can do more than one thing. Some people you would think that, okay, fine, so now at 27 your career has ended because now, I don't know, you are a nail technician, and then maybe you lost a hand and you're like, oh, now I guess that's it for me. You can literally pivot as long as you work really hard at the different things that you're good at, because you can be good at so many things. And I love that understanding, because I never feel boxed down. Like whenever someone asks me, what if some other content creators come up, and then, how do you remain relevant? I always tell them, first of all, I will always be relevant as long as I'm authentic, because I'll always be myself. Like, so there's no one else can come and be me, But also I realize that if I decide tomorrow, I'm literally one decision away from a completely different life. We all are. We all are. And if I decide tomorrow, okay, I've woken up and I've decided I want to go to school and study accounting and I want to become an accountant, I can. And I can probably even rise to the top of that career field and become the best accountant.
I agree. I 100% agree. I feel like, first of all, that is his life example is wonderful. That many people don't do that, right?
Exactly.
Sorry, what's the name of the chef who's amazing?
Gordon Ramsay.
No. He's Kenyan. And he does...
roaming chef. Dennis Ombachi,
He was
chef,
really good at rugby.
He is really good at rugby.
And
still.
Look, he's at the top. He's the one who won.
He won Food Influencer of the Year.
Food Influencer of the Year. So that's possible. Honestly, I feel like as long as you enter a market and you really want to be good at it, it doesn't matter what time it is. You can be the best. But that is extremely, or your dad's is like, the most opposite side.
Exactly.
Footballer and
then gynecologist. And it's because he loved both. And so if you have more than one thing, like, you should definitely just try and pursue it. Me, I never think at it, now I've been content creation. When someone asks me, will you be a content creator your whole life? I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe tomorrow we'll come and find Kenya has banned all social media. Then we have to pivot. We have to find something else.
Figure it out.
That's the thing.
God knows. But anyway, God forbid. God forbid on that one. I love that point. When this is another one. When you do good, another thing my father taught me is that when you do good to yourself. And when you do bad to yourself. And this is something which I observed from the dynamic of my parents' very acrimonious separation. So my mom's entire idea, they were just very opposite. My mom's entire idea is just like, what do my kids need? What are they about? And what can I do to give them whatever it is that they need? Sometime after they had separated, my dad would even come to school or whatever, and we'll go and hang out with him or whatever. And my mom would just be like, whatever, right? But when it was my mom who moved to the UK, and then it was my dad who took us, it wasn't like that at all. It was punishing. It was very, you can't speak to them. Making every step of the way very difficult for my mom. And then when my mom decided to do whatever she wanted to do so that she can have us with her, and then we left, all the negative consequences of that fell on my dad, right? So when I saw the way that things were operating with my mom, it was like my mom was just thinking, do the good thing, just do the right thing, just do the thing that is going to be the best for the children or whatever the case may be. And everything kind of was a lot simpler for her because there wasn't any bad blood at the time when she was still here. It was simpler. But when my dad chose to do something that was negative, actually the worst all those consequences
on him.
Were actually on him, not even us, not even my mom, mostly on him. So I think in a situation where you have the power to do good or bad, when you're doing the bad, you're doing it to yourself. Somehow, some way is going to be the bad for you. There's what's his name? Guardian Angel. We once had him on the show that we were presenting, and he told a story about that, where there's a lady who was taking care of him, and because at the time, he didn't have anyone who was taking care of him, and it was this lady, and she prepared poison for like food, and she assumed it was him who was going to come home, but it was her son who came home. I know, right?
It's a true story.
I think so.
Oh my God,
I know. And that was when he said that he has a song, actually. I don't know anyone who can second that it's about that. If you do good, you do good to yourself. If you do bad, you do bad to yourself. Sometimes you never know how things are going to work out when you're doing something bad or something good. So I learned that a lot. And even the way I see maybe people going through separation and stuff like that, I'm just like, I always see this could be a lot worse.
Exactly.
It could end up being so bad for you in the way that you don't even know.
You fight and you fight and you fight for that couch, and then
what for? When you lie, when you cheat, all of those things, those are things which are somehow eventually going to burn you in a particular way.
And the universe has a way of just ensuring there's balance. There's always a way that there's balance. It might not be in that thing, like, okay, you steal money, TMI money, and maybe you become super successful, but somewhere along the line you meet someone who, like anything could happen.
You trust the wrong person and it happens to you.
Exactly.
Actually, when things happen to me, like maybe something negative, I always want to see in where have I either partaken in somebody feeling that way, or I've done that to somebody else. And it could be something like you have lied to me about a contract, but then what happens is it's found out that someone somewhere you cheated on. So it's not always like that balanced. But it's something you've put something and you're going to get it back.
I truly 100% believe in that.
You do?
I truly do.
Yeah, I do as well.
Somehow things will just balance out. Another thing that I learned from my dad's life is that mother wounds are as deep as daddy issue wounds.
I think mother wounds
they are worse.
Especially on men.
Oh my gosh. My dad my dad was an alcoholic since 1994. And 1994 is the year that his mother died. Yeah. He had been drinking alcohol before that, but when she died, that's when like my mom traces back and says, this is where everything changed. That's how many years since then?
A lot of years.
Ooh,
that's when she was born.
Oh, Aggie was born the same year as Dora.
Oh yeah,
that's
cute.
Yeah, crazy. Cute. Yeah, but anyway, so and from what I understand from my mom, because of course, I was 4 years old when my grandma died. But my understanding was that they had a very positive relationship, like him and his mom. Like he loved his mom so deeply, like so deeply. So it's that. I don't know if it's that he just completely was not able to overcome the fact that she died, and she died of stomach cancer. So I don't know if it was a painful death, or it was just like he just couldn't believe that she was gone, and that's what caused him to now go into the cycle of addiction or alcoholism. But clearly, I almost feel like in the universe, what can you really do in terms of your relationship with your parents that doesn't result in absolute fucking trauma? Like, because your relationship was good, still. Your relationship is bad, still. Everybody's trying to heal. Everybody's experiencing trauma.
But if it was good, I feel like he just wasn't able to heal his broken heart from it. More than it was a mother wound. Because a mother wound is something that's caused by the trauma from the mom. But that's great that he had a great relationship. Listen to this. 2 opposing situations. Great mother, right? And still things ended up. My dad's relationship with his mom is I would say complicated. My both my families are matriarchs, right? But my shosho, who is my dad's mom, she was one of those hard-hitting kind of woman. So she believed a lot in punishment, in punishment, in beating, when they tell us some of the stories like of how their upbringing was, it just sounded like all that happened is everything that they did, they were beaten for. Everything that they were verbally
punished,
abused for, or something like that. So that's the environment that my dad grew up in. And my dad is actually quite kind of a tender person, right? Because he's an artist. He's very much in tune with himself. So then to imagine to grow up in that kind of environment and then not have the tools to be able to heal that wound.
Yeah.
It results in giving other people wounds.
So do we win? Does anyone ever win? Because I mean,
you can't, but like with your dad, I feel like again, it's more of the tools. Maybe we had the tools around to be able to heal that broken heart. Maybe things would not have been that way. Or if my dad, before he got married, he got the tools to be able to deal with some of his stuff, he wouldn't have brought it into his marriage, you know? But that was way back then.
That was way back.
So
at least
people
these
even
days,
think about it that way. Yeah.
And
now these
health,
days in 2022,
honestly,
we can be doing better. And guess what? Maybe all your wounds won't be wiped away, even if you go to therapy forever. But the intention and the work to actually do something about it.
And at least to understand where you are mentally, to understand why do I keep making decisions that land me in toxic relationships or cause me to be left or cause me, all these things, trying to understand where those come from.
That's our responsibility these days.
Yeah.
And honestly, when people are just like, therapy or whatever, it's not. But for me, it's like knowing how my eyes are more open now because of doing therapy for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I can just see things way clearly. So that means the person who I'm getting into a relationship with, if you can't see things that clearly, we're always going to probably run into stuff because of your blurred vision.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like it's something really important to have somebody who's at least open to therapy.
And you know what? So what can be frustrating about somebody who doesn't have a good self-understanding is that when you're dating someone, you can, by hearing their life story, you can see how, they overreacted in this situation. Then they tell you something. Yeah. Then they tell you something about that happened with their mom years ago. And you're like, oh, and you can see the connection, but they don't see the connection. And then it's just like, and you're just like, now you're not even in a space to be able to tell them because like, who are you now? You're coming to tell me about what?
And it's difficult to be the diagnoser.
Exactly. But you're just like, you can see like, you mean, so your dad left when you were 2. And that's why when I go out with my friends, you
lose your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Upset. Then now you can, man. Yeah.
The mother wound, actually, I feel like, because majority of the times the mother is the primary caregiver. That's actually what is universally known. Because from breastfeeding and things like that, you just, and they're the ones who carry as well. It's different for some people. But when I think about that, there's so many things when I'm just like, oh wow, that's the one that hurts the most. I actually through therapy learned that I do have a mother wound. Yeah, I have a mother wound.
No, I have a mother wound. I just haven't begun exploring it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I have a mother wound where it's my mom left for the UK, right? And my therapist helped me understand that when children are left, that is abandonment, even though that's not the intention. But because you are their life source, you're their life source. When you leave, it is abandonment. So when my mom left for the UK, that left an abandonment wound. Actually, my abandonment isn't for my dad. My dad never left. We left.
Always there. Yeah, you left.
So then I learned that I have a mother wound about abandonment, my idea that people always leave, which is still manifesting. And it's probably the deepest one.
Yeah, I think
so. Like that one is the one which seems to be the one which is most recurring, or like most, I don't know, like potent. That's the word.
And I feel like it's interesting because it's like the way your life has panned out, it's like God is forcing you to confront that wound. It's not like one of the ones which is like, okay, let's talk about this in like maybe January in our therapy session. January. It's constantly like they are knocking at your door. Hi, deal with me. Deal with me.
Yeah. And we thank God I'm dealing with it now. As my therapist told me, when adults are left, they are not abandoned.
Yeah.
So that's like, you've got to be able to sit as an adult and see your life as an adult, because when things happen, we regress to children. That's why you guys argue like crazy and then you come to your senses, because we regress into our adolescence. But when you're dealing with trauma, you want to always tell yourself there's an adult here, right? Because I haven't been abandoned, because I'm still working. I'm still doing this. I'm still existing. And it's a hard one to balance in those emotions. But now I'm learning to see it that way.
Have you had that conversation with your mom?
Yeah, we had this conversation with my mom actually when I was in my last relationship when it was about long distance. We discussed slightly about that. But when I did do the therapy session, we talked about it. And I shared with her what my therapist had said as far as how that is something which is like recurring somewhere in my mind. And then we talked about like what actually happens when a child is left. And guess what, guys? Sorry. Just because my life panned out to be fantastic, actually, afterwards, my mom being able to go to the UK gave us a life we could never have had. So many opportunities, so many
That's what I was gonna say.
so many things that I've been able to see. The way my worldview is been expanded so much because she made the sacrifice to be without us for a while, but to give us an incredible life. But because the adult in me knows that, but the wound is in the child in me. And that still has to be dealt with, whether or not I can see that this makes sense. Thank God, UN.
I know. And really, it makes me feel like as parents, really, is there anything you can do? That we talked about how like if you give too much love to your kid, they could end up becoming a hoe. Yeah. But if you don't give enough to the kid, now they're going to be still a hoe. I mean, now it's like literally, is there anything I can do to prevent my kids from ending up in therapy with a mother wound? Is there?
Yeah. Heal your wounds.
But in that case,
that
now
one which you are like blah, 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 I don't want to hear
it. Wounds?
That one you are like, da la 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 la.
No, but like you see, now, I mean, life circumstances force you to be in certain places. Like you see with your mom, she couldn't have foreseen that her marriage would have gone the way that it went. Yeah. And she probably thought, okay, if I do stay, okay, so my daughters grow up in this abusive home. If I go, they end up with an abandonment wound.
Sometimes there are things which you can't help, right?
Really, yeah.
And that one is like, it's easier for me to navigate around because I know there was reason for it. Versus you didn't go to deal with your stuff and now you're an alcoholic and I have to deal with that every single day. It's different and I'm not blaming anyone for that. But I think the only way to not to wound others is to make sure that we are healing our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way. What else can you do?
What else can you do?
You're going to make mistakes. You're a human being. Your children are going to heal from something anyway. But good parenting, or the way that it's said, is to be able to anticipate and meet the needs of your child. That's it. You know?
Anticipate and meet the needs of your child.
Yeah, because sometimes you have to anticipate it because they can't talk. They don't know what to say. So sometimes you have to guess what they need. But being able to anticipate and meet their needs, that's actually the basis of secure attachment in children. So that's all you can do.
Lord help us.
Please,
oh my God.
dear.
Lord help us. Speaking of in terms of the wounds and whatnot, one thing I've learned from my dad's life is that addiction starts off as a choice. Like it starts off as a choice to drink alcohol.
Drink or sip or whatever.
Sip or whatever. Vape. You know, smoke. The vapors, they're getting too much. Anyway, but I feel like it eventually becomes a disease. And I've been seeing how in certain countries, addiction is classified as a disease, which you can actually use even your medical cover to whatever. In other countries, it's not. It's like, no, just stop being an alcoholic kind of thing. No. But definitely, for me, I just feel like it's a disease because I know that no one ever who is in their right mind can see their life disintegrate day after day, see themselves lose their family, lose their wealth, lose everything that they have, and still tomorrow wake up and go to a bar and drink. There's just really,
I don't think
no
so.
way. Yeah.
But I agree. And I think that the way addiction is handled should be far more careful and sensitive. Yeah. But unfortunately, because an addiction tends to hurt everyone else. So people start being like, why do we care about you? What about these people? You're hurting.
And us, you've hurt us.
You're hurting us. Yeah. But I do think 100% is a disease. The issue is there are people who heal. There are people who overcome addiction. So that stems from a choice. Yeah. And that's why it seems that you just aren't choosing.
It seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it is. I feel like people get different tools to be able to overcome addiction. I think, is it Marissa Peer? No. It's the holistic psychologist on Instagram who explained addiction. And addiction is when you are disconnected with yourself. You are disconnected with yourself. So because there's a disconnection with yourself there, you are trying to fill that void, right? You're just trying to feel like yourself again.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's what it is. Like you're not feeling like yourself. You're not feeling connected to yourself. So if this substance, if it's like drugs or alcohol, it's making you feel like you're yourself. And you would rather hurt yourself than not feel like yourself, because
God.
everyone wants to feel like themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to feel like, I love myself. I'm
this,
here with myself. I love, what what's happening with me. And you will find yourself harming yourself to just keep that illusion of being disconnected with yourself.
And I mean, for them to even see that, okay, you are having body issues.
Yeah.
You have diabetes. You have pancreas, whatever, but still you're going to drink.
That drink.
I think, and I feel like it ties back to that forgiving yourself issue, because it's like when you're drunk, you don't have to think about the fact that I have hurt all these people, I have no money, I have no job, I'm a thief, basically, you know, and I have, like, you don't have to think about that. But now when you're sober, it's like,
here it is.
Here it is. Here you are. Here your kids.
And I think it's like a never-ending cycle. So it's like, okay, you're over drinking. To is not your addiction. And now you're feeling embarrassed. So now it's just embarrassment you feel when you're sober. Then you drink to stop the embarrassment. And now you don't have any money. So now when you're sober, you're broke and embarrassed. So you keep drinking. Now you're stealing to drink so that you don't have to deal with the embarrassment and the brokenness.
Now you're broke, now you're a thief.
And you're a thief. So, and it gets worse. So it's just like the 900-pound people, or whatever you are saying, is like, you're so deep. Yeah. Now you've destroyed your entire family.
Everything.
What is the point? Yeah. What is the point?
And the journey back just looks so long and so far.
It's just too hard. Yeah. Like, how do you deal with that? I think it is also holistic. I don't know who said this, but they said that when someone does find that reconnection, whether through the love of another or somebody else, they are going to be able to find a way out of addiction. There's somebody who I know who was a functioning alcoholic, and after finding love, genuine love, being taken care of and loving them, after years, 20 plus years, they quit cold turkey. Cold turkey. They woke up one day and they weren't doing it anymore, because now the love that they're getting, or maybe the warmth and the care, helped them connect back to themselves.
And I even wonder.
And it's like,
how? Exactly. My mom actually runs a rehab center. If you know anyone who's like a man or a woman who needs rehab, it's called Teen Challenge Women's Center Kenya. Please, Nancy, remind me to put the contacts in the description in the episode of this video. But she has people who literally have been doing cocaine for 25 years, and they come and they stop and they stay there a year and they go back and they never go back to it. But they also have people who have been alcoholics for 5 years, and they come and they stay 1 week and they're like, no, I want to leave. I've had enough and I have to go and drink. Yeah. And sometimes I even wonder, I've even asked her, is it a temperament thing? Like, obviously there are some personalities, like me and Lydia, we know we can be in addiction.
Because if you have an addicted parent, you're like 50% more.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like a temperament thing, or if it's like people who are strong-willed are more likely to be able to be like, listen, I have stopped and that's it. Versus others who, depending on your worldview and your view of yourself, and
I think there's a lot of things that play a factor, but I think that connection with yourself might be maybe something just comes into your life where you're just like, wow, I just want to do better. And that's why addiction is seen like it's still a choice. Yeah. Because some get out of it and others don't, Yeah. And like Jada Pinkett's mom was addicted, I think, to crack for ages. And when they have those kind of conversations, you can still see like some of the shame she carries from that.
Because it must be,
because the years are lost. We're not going back.
They're gone. And now I'm a grown-up with kids and a husband. So now what
we can't undo that. I got you from Taro. We can't. That happened to us. That's part of our story. That's what happened to us. That's part of. Remember that one time
that I had to come pick you up from the ditch. Yeah. I know. Another thing I'm observing, I think this is my last point, is observing my dad's life all through growing up. Even though he was addicted to alcohol, my dad he was functioning. He was a functioning alcoholic, and he made an amazing living being a gynecologist. But one thing I've seen now in adulthood is that I appreciate the fact that he was financially available for us, but the wounds of emotional unavailability just feel so deep still. And maybe even more so because of the fact that he was so financially available, because it feels like you could have, but you just didn't.
There were other options.
There were other options, like you could have, but I maybe he just, as you said at the beginning, maybe he just didn't have the capacity to be emotionally available. He just didn't know how.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
because
he wasn't even taught
also,
how.
yeah, the people of our parents' age, because he grew up in a home where there were literally 10 kids. It's like your parents, you guys are just raising each other.
Yeah.
You know, you're raising each other. So it's not until like mom and dad are like this. So he probably never got that blueprint of what it means like to be an available dad, what it means like to show up, you know?
Yeah.
But his understanding, I mean, or how it impacted him is that now he also wasn't emotionally available. Interestingly, Zach also grew up in a home without a dad, but for him, that has made him so emotionally available, like overly so, you know, because he's just like, I don't want them to have to go through that, you know.
And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
One person is like, I would never be like this. The other one is just like, but of course, this is where I came from. Exactly. This is what I know.
You know?
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that in Lydia and our lives is that both our dads were struggling with alcoholism, but at least mine was present.
Yeah.
Yours wasn't.
I didn't grow up with him.
But the wounds, now that we are grown, feel kind of similar.
It's the exact same thing. The exact same. Yeah. It's just...
Thank God for our strong moms, by the way. Because
I always say, God did not pour in my father cup, he overpoured
in the jug of Fukesi and
Emily. For real. Do I have another one? This one's a big claim, but it's true. I've realized that because I'm such a believer of you can always turn things around and da-da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, you can, really, truly. But realistically speaking, sometimes it's too late. Realistically speaking, sometimes it's too late.
Too much
sometimes
water
it's too late. So much water has gone under the bridge. The damage you've done personally to yourself and to the people around me, sometimes you're never gonna get back to that. You're never going to have some of the things that you did want because too much has happened. Too much has happened, and we've come too much of a way for us to now sit down and ever not look at each other without seeing the pain that has been between us.
That's so sad, but it's so true. And the reality is that even if you are to begin to work on your relationship with your dad, let's say they come out of alcoholism or whatever. Now you are grown up who lives in a different house with different priorities. I'm married and I have kids. So the time that we would have had in when I was living in your house and it was just me as a child and you, we'll never have that.
We'll never have that. It's actually one of the reasons why I drew boundaries with that relationship is because I was like, so I'll be driving my kids weeping, coming from me being treated like a child or being treated poorly by I was just like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. And guess what? It might be too late for our relationship. It might be. And what I need to accept is like, that's fine, but what can I do for the relationship I'm going to have with my kids? What can I do to put myself in a position where this is not the same thing? Right? How can this apple fall far from the tree? That becomes more your job.
Or the relationship that maybe in the future your kids could have with your dad.
Yeah, maybe I can work on that. Maybe I can gently work on a way which is just like they can have a grandfather, because I had my granddad with my mom, and it's been amazing. It's been fantastic. So I would love that.
Does your mom still have faith that your dad could ever change, like even for the sake of you and Ag?
I don't think so. I think where my mom is, it's from a place of, and the thing is, it's like, as I've said, there's some other issues that affect why my dad drinks now that we know. And also it's more of like momentary, like 6-9 months could go by and it's fine. And then there's some binging or whatever the case may be. But what my mom has put us in a position where it's just like, empower yourselves. It's no longer about that. It's more of like, what are you going to do? Because if you keep prodding on this part of let this person change, you can't change anyone. You can't change anyone. You can't work on anyone. So it's more about putting power in your hands to decide what you're going to do. But any decisions that we make, she always empowers us. She always encourages. She always supports us, because my mom has a great relationship with her dad. A wonderful one. So she can only conceptualize what this is like. So anything that we do, she's like, okay, if you feel like that's the right thing to do, that's fine. You don't want to do this, you want to do this. She just supports us. So
honestly, one of the greatest gifts you can give your kids is an amazing father.
Let me tell you this.
Just choose your partners wisely, guys. Not just, please.
I feel like one of the reasons why, funny enough, I've come to 31 without having children is because more than who the person is going to be as a husband, actually, it's always about who the other person is going to be, a dad. That rings so loudly in my ear. And sometimes it's nothing you can do. Some people literally turn into animals. There's a lady who DM'd me, perfectly happy relationship.
Lydia has so many of these. stories.
My DMs, perfectly happy relationship.
Yeah.
They got married. It started being abusive. Never, ever, not even as soon as they got married. We're within like a year of the relationship, and we are now at throwing across the wall and strangling. Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me wonder, because I've had stories like that before. It makes me wonder, like, how could they have pretended so awesomely before? Like, I don't get it.
But I think sometimes it's more of like of the leeway you think you have with someone, right? I know there's a relationship where I know that person would have definitely been whooping my ass. They would have been whooping this ass, but they knew that the consequences would be dire. Yeah. So sometimes that self-control comes from self-preservation, you know, and then now you're married.
More than caring about you.
No, they don't care about you. It's more like, I know I can't go there just now. Yeah. When you get married, there's an animal. And sometimes you don't know. You can't avoid it.
Interestingly, my mom still maintains a belief that before my dad passes away, or, you know, that our relationship with him will be mended and that everything will be great and that he'll be able to regain some of what he has lost. The rest of us, we are just like, that's
that
so
optimism
good for you.
Can cure cancer.
Exactly.
That optimism can cure cancer.
I mean, what she always tells us is that a life without, you have to maintain some certain level of hope that something good can happen. Which I'm like, yeah, but that hope can be still, it's like from over there. Yeah. So that if it does happen, amazing. If it doesn't happen, you're not broken to your core. Like, I was really waiting for this to happen. Yeah. It's just like, okay, I mean, it could.
Yeah. Let me tell you, there's somebody who is in our family who I guess somewhat is related to a family member who we went to his funeral, and it pans out that the reason why he passed away is because the alcohol started frying his brain cells. So he was paralyzed. He couldn't move. There was no mobility in his... I didn't know that it gets worse than liver failure. Oh boy, does it. It deteriorates your brain cells, so your motor skills, they die.
But may it feel like
alcoholics... And they didn't solve anything with their family. Oh. They didn't change.
They just died.
They were paralyzed for a while, and then they died. So no, it's not like, it's like the change is going to come because the change is going to come. It's not coming because time is passing.
But let me tell you something. If there are people who seem to be immortal, it is alcoholics.
I tell you this now.
That's why they say that God protects children, fools, and drunkards. You will see, like a drunkard will be walking across a speeding highway and not a single car will hit them. You, Lydia, try. Take one step on. Flat on the ground. Yeah. So perhaps you're even shortening your life by not being a drunkard.
Yeah,
Kidding.
you should try it.
We should perhaps try it. Anyway.
But since we've discussed addiction, we want to say that we're going to put Joe's mom rehab center there contacts. For anybody who needs help. You can contact them, and if you maybe know someone who does need help, if it's you as well, because it's okay. Actually, somebody did message me about having an addiction, and I didn't know that. You know, and I think they're younger than me, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's interesting." So if you too, you're struggling as well, and especially even if you think you are, start there. Start there when it's a lot easier, and seek the help that you need.
Don't wait 30 years.
Yeah, we do empathize. Yeah. I don't know if it's sympathy, but more empathize with having that disease, how it destroys lives. And for anybody who is in that experience, we hold hands together.
We all hold hands, guys. Tunasimama pamoja, yeah. But those are the things that we have learned from our fathers. Yeah. That wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a really triggering, difficult conversation.
It's given me a more positive view, like a more balanced view.
Me too.
My dad
like,
as well.
There are things that the hardship we had to experience with our dads have taught us, which have helped us in adulthood.
Who knew?
Yeah,
and because we have helped, we have taken that hardship and turned it into. So we're not thankful for the hardship. We have done something.
We are glad that we have been able to learn something. We would love to hear from you guys the things that your dads taught you. You can leave them in the comments. If you are listening on any podcast platform, you can DM us, TMI Podcast KE. You can DM Lydia. You can DM myself. And we always love hearing from you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for recommending that we do this. Because if you had not said, we would not have done it.
Absolutely not. But it was burning in our brains because we knew you guys had suggested it. So we were like, let's do it.
Exactly. Thank you guys. How do you feel?
As I said, it's opened up the positive energy with my dad. And I had spoken about it like 2 episodes ago. His 60th birthday is this Sunday.
I'm 60.
Yeah, it's
That's
60.
So significant.
It's significant. So my cousin, she is here with me and she's going to kind of liaise and do some of the planning because I'm not sure where I still stand. Do I want to attend? Will I not? But I'm there. And now it's worked out that this is actually what we've talked about. So it's going to drive the energy. Through his birthday.
Exactly.
So, that's it. How do you feel?
I also feel I don't know. I would say I feel neutral. Okay. But after talking about what we've talked about, I feel more neutral positive than neutral negative. Yeah. I thought it would just be like, I've learned that men are trash and they don't. But actually it's not that way.
Yeah.
It's not that way.
Yeah, I might do this exercise around his birthday as well. Think about other positive things as well.
Yeah. And even some of the most toxic or negative relationships might have some little gems or diamonds of lessons that perhaps you can take. So that it wasn't just a complete waste of time.
Yeah. And maybe that it's not why it's happening, but those gems might be something that helped us to be better, to be better mothers, to better
choose
people,
better partners.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something, you have a dad like the ones that we have, you will spot any bullshit from a mile away and be like,
before you
not
say
me, I'm not the one.
You are going, you're more likely to be like, even if I tolerate this, do my kids deserve to tolerate this? No, they don't.
Lydia and Morugi, after their men go out 2 nights in a row, I'm packing my bags.
My kids won't deal with this.
It's tough. Anyway, we look forward to hearing back from you guys with some of your points. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We hope that you enjoyed it and learned something new. See you in our next one.
See ya.
Bye.